Welcome back to season 5 of Time to Change. I'm Chase Forehand.
And I'm Dom Jones. We have some amazing conversations lined up from people doing the work. I'm excited for those and the change that it'll hopefully spark.
I can't wait to jump in. So let's get started. Welcome back to Time to Change. I'm Chase Forehand.
And I'm Chasen's better looking cousin, Dom Jones.
I'm leaving that in. I'm leaving that in. I'm totally leaving that in the recording. And today we are with my buddy Katy Rey in the house, people. Give it up.
Jason, you always bring the people. Freaky Fridays.
Oh my goodness. So Katy, tell everybody about you and what you're doing with Fostering Hearts. How did that even come out?
Wow, that's it's a question. I mean,
it's like a multi-layered question.
Or is it just me? So I'm Katy Rey. What I like to tell people is I am a human that with every interaction I have with you, I want to leave you better than I found you. I have a ridiculous amount of energy I want to pour into you that is not drug related or caffeine related. I want to pour into you and remind you who you are, what you're capable of, and the magic that is you. That's me as a whole. Without my labels, I'm an author, I'm a business owner, I'm a mom, whatever. But like without the labels, that's who I am at my core. And Fostering Hearts has my heart. This is the season we are launching Fostering Hearts. It started because I am a empath in a way, and I can't hear about kids in the system. You know, our most vulnerable for me is the elderly and the children. And of course, like homeless, like communities that are just not seen like they should be. And kids in the system just do not get what they need, and their children. So 2.5 years ago, I started my business Humans First coaching and Fostering Hearts at the same time, a nonprofit that was about for foster kids. And Humans First is great. I work with adults in corporate so that you don't like lose your soul at work. We do workshops and people lead to profit. How can we pour into our people? But what I was noticing is I'm giving all these resources that adults know of and have, and corporations do want to give you benefits and things like that. That's why we have amazing other companies that make sure that people lead, you know, HR for you. Like there's just things about people, but kids don't know what they don't know, and they don't have support, and sometimes they don't have any guidance, and it takes one adult to change, a caring adult to change the trajectory of a child's success. So I did a lot of research the first couple of years, and at first I wanted to keep siblings together and mentor kids aging out, but what I was realizing was sometimes there's 8 siblings, sometimes the kids aren't good for each other at that point until they get healing. Sometimes we mentor kids aging out at 18 and they haven't had any support before that, and we're waiting until they're 18. And at 18, I was not making good decisions. So I'm not sure why we think you should leave a system at 18. And we're like, good luck out there, foster kiddos. So education kept coming up as a gap. And I'm like, okay, universe, God, tell me what's going on. And I met a couple women who helped me navigate a concept. And the concept is utilizing our Florida virtual school system for an accredited curriculum to build up the high school diploma, which is under 40% in Florida right now. And I mean, I think it's under about 30%, but and utilize an educator who brings a social, emotional, and life skill support for the kids. We're pulling them out of public school to give them a safe space to learn, build their self-worth, build their self-value, make a decision at 18 that might be a trade school or the free college education they have till 24, or start a business, like whatever they feel they've connected with along the way. And our concept rolls out on August 12th in another nonprofit facility, which is a 38 group home facility called Joshua House. What a beautiful space it is. Has 4 groups homes on site. It's like a little neighborhood. It has a garden, a computer lab, a library, and we will roll this concept out with an educator for every 13 kids. Now, every kid doesn't have to be on this plan, but it gives them a chance to not be pegged as the bad kid at school or kicked out because they started a fight because they were protecting themselves because they're the most vulnerable, or because their behaviors were off because they were pulled in and out of shelters the last month, 100 shelters maybe. So it gives them a chance to actually master a subject or a project, be on the high school diploma route, and just thrive. I just think it's It's so important, and I love collaborating with other nonprofits. That's another powerful tool. I don't want to do others. I want to just stick to education, bring these into rec centers and churches across Florida. And for me, when I say churches, I mean non-denominational. So we meet the kids where they're at, because there's a lot of triggers that happen with religion. And I want people to realize, like, if you're doing God's work, that's welcoming and meeting people where they're at. So that's really important for me. And rec centers, where we can bring the computers there. With Joshua House being our pilot program and launching, it's like the most perfect spot because they have the computers. It's such a good partnership. And I know it won't be for everywhere we go, but for our concept rollout, it's like the most perfect synergy. And
So
I
proud of
remember
the work
our
you do.
first conversations with Chasen and talking about Transformation Kitchen. And I was telling you what we're doing with Fosterkids, like, community of people driven just strictly by their heart is just so powerful, because Chase inspires me every day to just keep going. Like, big dreams are cool, big dreams. Because I do see us having residential homes where I pull the teachers out of the system that actually doesn't serve teachers either, and having them housed there and bringing the kids to them. I think safety is such an underutilized tool for these kiddos, because the light bulb that went off on me was the executive director at Joshua House was telling me how some of the kids act out on Sundays. And I work with people who get Sunday scaries in corporate, and they get anxiety and they can't sleep. And what these kids are getting are the Sunday scaries before school on Monday. They don't want to get on the bus. They don't want to go into school. Your whole body goes into who's going to pick on me today? What teacher's going to tell me I'm sleeping in class? Well, my trauma happens at night. I don't sleep at night. Like, during the day I sleep. And what's so great about our concept is, this kid needs a 15-minute nap. We'll take a 15-minute nap. Come on back.
Yeah.
Like,
so simple.
Where you're at. It's just, kids don't know what they don't know. And we're going to have a lot of visibility with people that consistently come monthly to talk about their industries, so they can pick a different community to go to. Not the addiction community, the homeless community, or jail. Like, your community gets to live where you decide. Like, what's something that inspires you? Do you like to draw? Do you like to build things? Do you like, what is it that is something, or do you like taking care of the chickens on your facility? Like, what is it? Like, what is it? There's cool, and I got a lot of unlearning to do, because I was, out of the 4 kids, I was the one who went to college, and I was just used to, like, academics. And my 2 oldest are dyslexic. And I've learned that they don't have to come home with a packet of worksheets to do. We can actually just sit down and play a cool game. I taught him gin the other day, a card game. We're playing Nazi. I mean, if you're playing that now, you got to know how to count those numbers. Learn here, people.
That's awesome.
And it's adult learning, like putting kids, thinking that taking a kid out at 11 at night, putting them in a new home at 6 a.m. and bringing them to school at 8 is a normal occurrence for people. It's crazy to me. It happens all the time. You can meet a 13-year-old who doesn't even know where they live because they've moved 5 times in a week.
Yeah. This is a conversation that Chasen knows this about me. I get excited from a few standpoints. One, as a homeschooling dad of 4 boys, I learned within the first year how important it is to meet them where they are and figure out how they learn, and not just how they learn, but the right environments they need to be in that are conducive to that. In addition, I had about a year and a half where I spent time within this one school here in our local district in the Texas area. This school students who either dropped out or didn't finish high school but were a few credits short because of life circumstance. Either they got pregnant and had to drop out. I worked with one teen where both of his parents were incarcerated and he had to take care of his younger siblings. But they were dealing with some real life stuff, and the system that they were in didn't serve them in terms of sitting in class for several hours throughout the day, because they also had to work a job to take care of, their household.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
All of that to say, I'm curious, Katy, as you were developing concept, framing up what the problem was and why this was the right solution to serve the community that you're serving.
the reason I think it came up to me is this concept of just like school education somehow is because education can be such a tool for kids to master something and to know that they like something and to find out, like in this book I read, but what I knew was a huge gap was watching my son, who I had no idea about dyslexia, come home in first grade and be like, the teacher put me against one of the smartest girls in class and I couldn't answer fast enough and I didn't understand the math problem, and just the defeat. The defeat. And everyone's like, public school gives them a reality check, doesn't it? Because we're not giving the teachers enough resources. Their bandwidth is limited. And the capacity of 30 kids for foster kids and even kids who have guidance at home, they don't have the capacity. So how, and they don't have me or you at home to come home to and be like, oh, by the way, I really had a rough day. They just internalize it. So for me, it was like, this can make or break them. Education can make or break them. And it just, signs kept coming around me. And my kids go to a micro school now. So they're 3 days there, 2 days with me. And the 2 days with me, they do dyslexic tutoring with their tutor, but it gives them a chance too to be with their grandparents, which I didn't get to grow up with my grandparents. Like that family unit, everybody's family looks different. So for foster kids, it's like, what does your family look like today? Is it the 11 of you in class? Okay, let's create like a meal plan and give you that chance to sit down and eat with each other. Like, how can we bring so many, and education can do that. Like we can create a family atmosphere for them and what that looks like. Because, every family looks different. And that's why I was like 13 kids at most, all on individualized plans. And then we'll have volunteers come in, retired teachers who just want to help again. And just help these kids be seen. It's so important. I think there's just so many light bulbs for this concept. There's so many gaps in the system for kids. There's just so many gaps. It takes a lot of patience.
It does. And then some.
He was telling the story the other day about teaching the learning at the grocery store.
Absolutely. And it's because of that, the need for patience. We were sitting at the table and doing a math lesson in a workbook, and it just was not working out. I was getting frustrated. My 9-year-old at the time was getting frustrated. I said, you know what? We've got other things to do. So we went to the grocery store. And ironically, the lesson for the day was on currency and pricing.
Boom.
So you know what? You're going to help me pick out the groceries and we're going to work on pricing. It's amazing.
So I don't want to reinvent wheels. Mentorship, I send them to our Garden Ad Litem programs, suitcases and backpacks. We have Packs of Love Foundation. They're 2 social workers that left the system to provide that type of hygiene and backpacks full. Celebrate Birthdays goes into schools and sets up birthdays for foster kids and kids in need who have never had individualized birthdays, which happens a lot. If you've talked to like older foster kids, they've never had a birthday or they've never had a Christmas. And, we don't think about stuff like that. I also work with Feeding the Fosters, and they make meals for foster families around the area so that they can have dinner time. Their kids actually created it because they had friends that were foster kids and they talked about how they never had dinner at their table. And so they bring the meal and you cook it as a group and then you bring it to the families. And one person said, you just need to help one person. And I totally get that, but this has the capability of helping a lot of people. And I hope states pick it up. And I hope other states realize, like, it's not like a spot for daycare of kids with behavior issues, right? Put them on a plan for their behaviors and then get them in a space where they can finally thrive and feel good and seen. From the state and federal, they run from the system. So there's so many benefits within there. So we're finally giving the kids the tools and saying, you can be in an independent living program and you get rent. And you get, but once you tell them they're out of the system that hasn't served them, they run. And I get it. Why would you stay with something that hasn't served you? So it's like educating them on that. Financial literacy. We have a program at Maddie's Movement who does that. And I see foster kids not feeling like foster kids. Being a foster kid made me more empathetic and compassionate and do something about it. But I also see empowering these foster kids are going to change the world. I mean, put them in legislation.
Oh my goodness. We have been talking to Katy Rey about fostering hearts in Florida. I am Chasen Forehand.
And I'm Dom Jones.
And you've been on Time to Change. Thank you for showing up.